All right, let's get going. I wanted to talk about your company and brand, MizzFit, and it's it's something really, I see it from the outside as something really big, and it has a lot of different moving pieces. I kind of
Mhm.
see it as like a living, breathing fitness lifestyle magazine, person, travel something. So it's, and actually, I remember when you started it, and I remember thinking, like, what is this? I didn't understand it at all. It didn't make sense to me because as a fitness professional, I'm like, okay, is she a fitness professional? What is this? But then I realized that you were just like way ahead of the curve, or you were at the very beginning of kind of like the social media world. You were right there, right when you should have been. And now I understand it more. But how would you describe what you do? Because all the listeners might not even know what
Sure.
MizzFit is.
It's definitely involved. I'm sorry. It's definitely evolved from what I originally imagined it as, and what I did originally imagine it as was almost like me sharing my journey, my fitness journey, with people online, and turning that journey into a brand, into an empowerment brand. And I wanted to use that journey as like, because behind every great brand is a story, right?
Hmm.
And being in the advertising industry, that's all I was doing was telling brand stories. So I was like, okay, if I can show how I turn my love of fitness and my story and all of that into this brand, then I can sell fitness accessories. And that was my original plan, to have a line of really fashion forward and functional fitness accessories that maybe would then get picked up in stores like Sports Authority, or Lululemon, or even smaller boutique type shops. But that original plan sort of changed a lot throughout the years. So 8 or 9 years later, what I would call myself is a health and wellness writer, reporter, TV host, and digital host.
Mm.
But encapsulated within that is the fact that I'm a women's health and wellness influencer. And I, for many years, have kind of like shunned that word of influencer, because I do feel like so many people can call themselves that. And it's kind of a bummer when you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm this thing that like so many other people, can easily call themselves. But I do think that, I influence people based on, their decisions to take a fitness class, to buy a piece of fitness equipment, or even to try out like a new treatment, whether it's like a skincare or anti-aging treatment. So the fact that, I do, help people make that decision, I think that it does make me an influencer. So I can't really deny it very longer and much longer.
In terms of being an influencer, how do you feel it's changed from the beginning to where it is now? Just in general, not just necessarily your company, but the influencer economy in general.
Well, I think that at the beginning, like let's go back maybe 10 years ago, celebrities were influencers.
Hmm.
And they still are. That hasn't changed, but we were mostly looking at the glamour side of their lives and taking influence from that. But, not everyone is rich, and not everyone lives in LA or New York and has access to, those things that we were watching celebrities do. And it almost became, especially going through harder economic times, around 2007 to probably 2010, it was harder for people to kind of relate to those celebrities that were showcasing that side of their life. So I think, what really emerged was this world of regular people influencers that were showing almost like the parts of accessible things that they were doing and buying and participating in, that normal people were like, wow, that's cool. And I can actually go out and do that or buy that, or afford that or whatever. So That's definitely what I was doing in terms of fitness is I was, showing people how I was taking these amazing fitness classes that were, um, you know, cheap or maybe even like a little bit more expensive, but still, affordable. And then I was showing people where to shop too, that was affordable. So I think people really appreciate that. The influencer world has definitely gone through a bunch of changes since I started. I would say now that influencers are now um, becoming more glamorous
Hmm.
and a lot of, oh, I'm sorry, I have a phone go. Oops, sorry about that. My phone is going off through my computer. I think now influence. So let me start that again.
Okay.
I think now influencers have now gravitated towards becoming more glamorous. Like influencers are the new famous. And that's actually like someone else's quote, but it's becoming a fact that influencers are the new celebrities. And while I love that, I also, there's a part of me that hates that because I feel like influencers became what they are because they were normal people.
Hmm.
So, I think that as far as the influencer that I want to be, I never want to be anything other than I was when I started. Like I always want to be, the girl from the Midwest who came to New York and, wants to live, my fullest life here in New York City, but always within my means. And I never want to be better than anybody else. And that just, that's just how I always want to be seen. And all of my choices in life and career and everything will come from that, persona. So, yeah, I think, people want to follow real people.
Hmm.
So I'm still kind of, watching where the course of influence is going as far as like, online and on social media. But my goal is always to kind of remain who I am and to always, stay true to the followers that have been following me from day one.
Hmm. So, in terms of your relationship with your followers, have you seen people have been with you from the very beginning to now? Like, how many years has that been?
Well, uh, I started like around late 2008. So it's around 9 years. It's
Wow.
around 9 years. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that all that time has passed and that there are people that are still, with me, that are watching my videos and liking my pictures on social media. And I have people sometimes that leave me messages or send me emails saying that they've watched my career evolve
Hmm.
and they are thanking me for some little bit of advice that maybe that I gave them throughout some story or I don't know through something that I shared and it feels good. It feels good to know that that they're still with me and
Hmm.
that something that I revealed from my personal life maybe helped them. And I'm not like I'm not one of those people that expects to change lives. Like I don't think of myself in that huge grandiose way. But I do want to guide people towards better health. I mean, that is my number one mission.
Nice. I have a similar mission. One thing I do like about your company is that, or how you portray yourself, you're very personable, you're very real. I think one of the reasons why people continue following you also is because you always have new content to share. Like there's always something new, or you're sharing something more personal about yourself. Like you just experienced that situation with your eye infection, and you
Yeah.
shared that. Like you're very open. In terms
You have
of
to be.
always sharing and having tons of content, do you do everything yourself or do you have help?
I do have help that's outsourced in terms of videography, and I pay for a lot of consulting for people to help me make decisions that I'm not skilled enough to make on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been so great because I'm a one-woman show, Amira, and so and I think you might be too. Sometimes it's hard to tell, from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
because people are doing such big things. But I do a lot of juggling in my business because I have different sides of my business and different partnerships and that kind of thing. So I have to kind of like jump between them every day to make sure that I get stuff done. And there are a lot of things, I think it's one of the most important things you learn as a businesswoman is that you have to identify when you're good at something or you're not good at something. And for the things that you're not good at, get help, ask for advice, create, a panel of people that you go to. Maybe they're your friends or former colleagues, or I don't know, you create a panel of people that become your bouncing board to bounce ideas off of. In my case, a lot of my friends are crazy with their jobs, and it's very hard for me to put together kind of like a little group of people that I can talk to for 20 minutes at a time. So I just started, I wanted to give back to the world of entrepreneurship and small business. So I hired consultants that help me make decisions. I have a YouTube consultant that has been helping me with that, because I am terrible at being a good YouTuber.
What?
And
Your
yeah,
YouTube is awesome.
I mean, I love making videos, and I think I'm really good at that, but there's like a whole formula to being on YouTube. And I'm really great at Instagram and Twitter and other social platforms, but YouTube is like a whole other thing. So I hire someone to help me with that, and he's great, and he works within that industry, so he gives me a lot of great advice. And then I have people similarly helping me like in other areas, but they're not part of my company. I definitely appreciate everything that they do, but I think in the end it's me. It's definitely me holding up this tent.
That's a lot because you're also in, I think you use every major social media space. So in terms of like your typical weekly workflow, what is that like since you seem to be everywhere?
Weekly workflow definitely is from like morning till night. I use every hour of the day to put into my business, all the things that need to get done. Usually I'll take 2 to 3 hours out for Bianca time, which is like fitness, cooking dinner, which is really important to me, and an hour to like try and meet up with a friend during the day when I'm going between meetings, or maybe just like hanging out at a cafe and like working outside of my office, like. Yeah, but I am really a workaholic, and I think when you are one I can't talk. I think when you are a one-woman show, that you really have to like put your nose to the groundstone. Groundstone? I don't know. Whatever they
Pavement?
say.
Yeah, something.
Put your nose to the pavement, which doesn't sound good. I'm like, phrase, put your nose. I think my friend said grindstone the other day, and I was like, what is a grindstone? So
Yeah.
today I'm like stealing other people's quotes, not even knowing what they mean. But yeah, you have to. I mean, you have no choice. And I was like, I mean, might be totally terrible to be talking about on your podcast, but like I see so many influencers these days that, Amira, don't have a website. They're like a fitness influencer. They don't teach a class. They don't have, branding. They don't have any of this stuff. And they're not trying to build it, but they have an Instagram, profile with like 1 million followers,
Hmm.
and they're rocking it. And I'm like, how are they doing this without doing the work? And So I try not to let that bother me because it's very easy to become jealous or, petty when you're a one woman show because you don't like have anyone to bounce your frustrations off of. And you have to kind of like retreat from those feelings and say, okay, well, hard work is what pays off, and that's what I always tell myself. I'm working on redesigning and relaunching my website. I think it'll be relaunched I think it'll be up next week. But I've been like painstakingly going through like every little thing because I want it to be awesome when it's up, And even though like some other fitness influencers out there with like 1 million, followers on her Instagram, I'm just like, well, she doesn't have this amazing website I built, And at the end of the day, like, I'm proud of this, because if Instagram goes down, like she doesn't have her 1 million followers.
Oh, yeah.
For me, like I have, a website, I have, an active YouTube channel, I have, all these followers and like weird group boards on Pinterest. Like, I don't even know how that happened. Like, and it's all about, growing your business so that it can exist on multiple platforms and multiple levels so people can find you in different places, whether like, one website or one network goes down or not. Very recently, actually it might not be so recently, but last year, I was on a live stream platform called, what was it called? I've already forgotten the name of it.
It wasn't Periscope. It was the other one.
Yeah, it had like a little ferret as the, I can't believe I'm forgetting this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember I only remember Periscope, but they were both launched around the same time.
Yes. And I can't remember the name of it. So bad. Well, anyways, I was on this live stream channel and I was one of the most popular people on there. I rappelled off of building and live streamed it. And I mean, I had like thousands of people like, watching as I was doing it.
Wait,
and
you rappelled off a building?
Live streaming.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so, it was called Meerkat.
Okay.
Meerkat. Meerkat. I'm getting old, so I'm forgetting things. But yeah, and so I went from having this, Meerkat presence on like a really popular live streaming network that then disappeared. Like it went under because Periscope was, becoming the more popular one. And that can disappear in 2 seconds. So I lost my whole following there and everything. And then I was like, should I start one on Periscope? I don't know, maybe not. And I never did. But I mean, that's kind of like why I guess I'm going around this in a very long way. But that's why I think it's so important, not to base your business and brand just on one network. Because you never know what can happen. It can be gone tomorrow, and then how do you gather your followers somewhere else when you lose that mode of communication with them? So I do think it's important, to have a website to create a tangible and accessible presence.
So for all your social media activities, do you try to steer everyone to your website so that so it's a way to build your email list to maintain contact that way?
Yes. All signs point to Rome is what they say. So when I'm on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, I'm always telling people, check me out at MizzFit.com because that's my home. And I realize that blog type destinations aren't doing as well as they used to because people want to read blogs on Instagram now. They want to read them on Facebook because, they're already there. They already have it up on their computer.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, but I will always have the content in its most thorough form on my website so that people can link to it. And I think it's important that every brand has a home. So yeah.
All right. What you mentioned, like way at the beginning of this, you mentioned having an accessory line, and I still wear some of my favorite socks are the socks that you designed a couple years ago.
Oh my gosh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Um, but I want to talk about your partnerships because you've created loads of partnerships over the years. And is it more like you reaching out to them, or has it become a thing where people now reach out to you more so?
It's definitely now a situation where brands usually reach out to me, but I'm constantly still doing outreach because a lot of the brands that reach out to me are not brands that I necessarily want to work with, or I might not see a correlation with. And, that special brand that is like dream brand, it comes along, you know, once a year if you're lucky. And like right now I'm waiting, I'm hopefully waiting or anxiously waiting for a brand to confirm a partnership
Hmm.
for July, and it would be like really cool if it happened. But sometimes like those ideal partnerships, like they take time or it's just like a special occurrence. So in the meantime, like you look for those kind of like those middle range partnerships, the ones that are good, that make sense, that pay well. But the big ones are like truly, truly a blessing. And for those, oftentimes you do have to do your own outreach because a lot of times, like those brands, they don't know who you are. They don't envision what you do. So that's the kind of outreach I'm doing. Like for brands where I'm like, wow, this would be like incredible. I could see like how I could help them, but I could also see like, how much, this brand would bring to my followers, in terms of, transforming their lives or whatever. So you have to write that up. You have to send it to the brand or their publicist or their marketing person and really kind of walk them through it. So it's still, it's still work on my end, but there's no question that I have like maybe 50 emails a day from brands that, want to work with me. Just a lot of those brands, it doesn't make sense, and even when they're offering money, I'm like, I don't think this is a good, you know, I don't think this is a good match.
Hmm.
And you have to like, that I think that is what shows, or is telling about whether you're a good influencer, or um, a good businesswoman, because, you know, um, are you going to sell out?
Uh-huh.
So the other day I saw, and I'm trying not to be critical here. That's not what I'm trying to do. I hope it doesn't sound like it.
Mhm.
But I saw a fitness influencer that I follow. She just partnered with Michelob.
Whoa.
And yeah. And I was just like, like and she wrote kind of like a justification for it. But I mean, I really, I don't want to follow someone who is promoting beer.
Yeah.
Number one, because I hate beer, so that's my personal thing. But number two, because I just think like the typical fitness person doesn't drink beer. Like they're drinking something, lighter. I see them drinking, like healthy cocktails, or I don't know, like just something better for you, and yeah, that really affected my opinion of her. So, do I think that was the best match?
Hmm.
No, but you know, maybe it is for her. She lost me,
Hmm.
So that's something that I take very seriously in terms of what I do, because I don't want my followers to be like, what the heck is Bianca doing? I mean, oftentimes they are, because I'm doing like the weirdest, craziest things. But I always try to partner and feature things on MizzFit channels that are like positive, as far as transformation, or helping your body out, or helping your mind body situation out. And, people have sometimes questioned some of the things I've done. But, from where I stand and within my mission, I always, try to make sure that those decisions, make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that you can't take every partnership. You really can't.
Yeah. And what you were saying makes me think of, like, if you have a brand, develop it, envision, like, have a vision for it, a strong vision for it, so that if someone tries to throw money at you to, to I don't know, to promote their brand, that you're strong enough to know that it doesn't fit your brand and that something better will come along at some point that will. And I can't even talk right now. I'm going to erase that.
Yeah, no.
But it's like, but it's all, it's part of brand. Like, what would fit? What do you want in there? What do you not want in there? You have to have some type of backbone in terms
Oh
of
my gosh,
what
you're
you want to
so right.
represent.
You're having a backbone in business is so important because, um, yeah, otherwise, like people just don't, respect you. For instance, I decided that I kind of, wanted to be like the Bridget Jones of fitness, where I just wanted to let go of my ego. I wanted to show myself, not wearing makeup in situations that are vulnerable, because that's really how I am, like I'm like kind of like silly and quirky, like even though I like take myself seriously, like sometimes I just like people laugh at me and I wanted to just show that like that side because I think it's like it rings true and it took having a backbone to be able to like, show myself getting this like, cellulite butt treatment, and putting it on, putting it online and
Hmm.
not caring that like I had like cellulite on my butt, but like, because everyone kind of does, at
Hmm.
least, what I hear.
Yeah.
But, like being vulnerable takes a backbone, having a backbone. And there, I was listening to, I know you know who Marie Forleo is.
Yeah.
I was listening to her podcast with this woman whose name I'm blanking on, and the woman was talking about how people on social media are just posting about like how great their lives are, and it almost causes a lot of people to become depressed because you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's life is so great, and maybe mine is not. Like maybe mine just doesn't compare to like all the like great and beautiful things that are happening in these people's lives on Instagram, and it just rang so true, to me, like listening to that. And I was like, I'm going to post less like beautiful, like perfect pictures of me that have been retouched and start, posting pics of me that are more real. Or maybe even like talk about like the pictures that I posted or retouched and say, hey, this was retouched, by the way,
Mm.
or just be more honest because I think people, really, really respect that, because our lives aren't always perfect. And that was like getting back to like my eye thing that I've been recovering from. That was the reason why I wanted to document that because I thought, I just want people to know that like even though I like just got back from this amazing trip in Hawaii, like I am now like down in the dumps, like can't see out of my like left eye, like have barely left my apartment. Like I want people to know that my life is so far from perfect.
Hmm.
And if I can take the story and help someone, identify like maybe they're having the same problem, like they'll be like, oh my gosh, that girl Bianca that I follow on Instagram just recovered from this, eye infection, and maybe I can email her to find out if like that's what I have or something, and we come together and basically like we bond based on that realness.
Hmm.
I'm not going to bond with some Instagrammer that like I follow this girl who I love. I do think she's real, but her name online is something Navy.
Hmm.
She has so many followers. But she posted like this perfect picture of her in this like couture dress, which is so lovely. And, I like the picture, but it's kind of like, okay, I don't have like a couture dress like that
Right.
in my closet. So it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, like like I can't relate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think is so important about my business, and other people's businesses that do something similar, is that you have to stay relatable. You can inspire people to achieve things that maybe you're doing that they haven't done yet, but you always have to stay in that parameter of relatable.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what made things like YouTube in the very beginning, especially, really popular because it was more raw, um, and people looked like people.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. So, in terms of your business, you mentioned getting messages from people. And I always wonder whenever I message you, I'm like, how many messages is this woman getting per day? Because if it's just me, if I am, I'm sure you're getting like 300 messages per day, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. I mean, I start every morning off by making my bed and then sitting down at my computer and expecting to delete about 200 to 250 emails. And I do that because I can't see my inbox until I get rid of all the emails that, aren't important.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, like, there are emails asking me from people if they can guest blog on my site. I don't really take many guest blogs. I probably should, but I just don't. Yeah, there are people asking me that, or brands that make no sense that want to like collaborate, or just weird things that people email me. And then they're like the really good ones, messages from my followers, or people that subscribe to my quarterly box that have questions about, the upcoming mailing. Or they're just related to like normal business things. And those I happily sit down and address. But before I even get to them, I have to clear out the inbox of all the stuff that like it's just makes it really hard to, even organize my thoughts.
Hmm. Wow. That's so you start in the morning and then you keep going. How many different projects are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on the quarterly box, which we are shipping out, I believe, on Friday,
Hmm.
and I'm almost done with that, so I'm really excited. The Q box ships every 3 months, and we work on designing it and making sure it's awesome, for about 2.5 of those 3 months. So it's definitely a lot of work. So I'm always like really excited the day that it ships because I get a little break before I have to start designing the new one.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I'm in a really good mood because we're almost done, and then from there I just get to wait to hear the feedback. And then as far as other projects, I have my new website that's going to be launching next week, hopefully if all goes well. And then I have a project that I wish I could talk about it because it's so cool, but I don't want to, mostly because it's I feel like I'm gonna jinx it.
Uh-huh.
But basically, it's with like a really big like worldwide brand that um, they they basically inspire like outdoor living, and I have always wanted to work with this brand, so I'm hoping that it works out, and that I can start creating content for it in July. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Hmm. Good luck.
Yeah, yeah.
Outdoor living at now I know that you live in New York, so
Mhm.
I'm trying to make a connection between outdoor
Yeah,
living.
yeah. Oh my gosh, you're gonna get me to talk about it, and I'm trying not to. Let's see.
Okay.
Basically, just like it's very similar to the work that I did with Ford a couple of years ago, where I went on like a kind of like a road trip with Ford
Hmm.
and discovered all these cool places to work out that
Hmm.
were within the tri-state area, and we filmed a lot of uh, cool videos and digital spots and that kind of thing. So it's sort of similar to that. And that's really all that I want to say. Mostly, like, I just don't want to jinx it, Amir.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's enough
I
information.
find, I find that, like, well, here's another thing to mention as, like, a business person. I find that it's really important, like, not to talk about projects with people because until they're finalized, because you get so excited about things that like seem like they're going to happen and then they don't. And that is like, it's just part of, I think being an influencer or, being an online personality is that a lot of jobs are like being discussed, and you're trying to find the right time. Like people are trying to find budgets to make it happen and that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden it'll be off. So, yeah, a long time ago, I learned like you can't talk about it because then like you're the like doofus that like, basically jinxed a project because it ended up not happening. But I'm pushing for this one. And in this case, because I know we were talking about like, do I email brands or do they contact me or what? In this case, I happen to, run into a woman that is from my hometown who was working with this brand, and we just ended up having coffee, and she was like, oh my gosh, maybe we could do something together. So I know you didn't like really ask this question, but I'm just going to ask the question to myself, is that like, how much does networking contribute to what I do? And I will say that the best projects and the best things in my business have come from just like building relationships with people that I never thought I was going to work with. And just, doing fun networking, like, for example, like this podcast today, wanting to connect with cool women or just hear what they're up to without having any kind of like ulterior motive. That's when amazing things have happened for me. So I would say it's something that can't be ignored. And a lot of people, it baffles my mind, like don't want to make time. Like they're like, oh, well, if I can't make money off of it, like I don't want to fit it into my schedule. That is a huge mistake. Because even with this project, I'm not going to talk about yet, it just came from us having coffee and just, talking about what was going on in our lives. And yeah, that's a special thing that I feel like women are really good at is creating things from nothing. We spawn things as women. So it's that would probably be like one thing I would share, with female entrepreneurs is, never underestimate the power of, a chit chat or a conversation, because it could turn into like one of your biggest business moves.
Don't live on an island.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm living on an island right now, though, sitting in my apartment, recovering from my eye problem. It's tough. I want to be out there, Mira. I want to be out there going to like your class and, but yeah.
Okay, you've never come to my class, but you're invited
No,
whenever.
I have to come to your class. I wish you were still teaching Star Wars class.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago, but yeah, that was fun.
That's amazing.
It was such a geeky workout, but it was actually an effective workout because it was HIIT style. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard.
I love HIIT class.
Yeah, they do. You can get a lot done. Short period of time with a lightsaber. But
So I'm going to turn this around on you. I have a question. Like, what do you think of influencers? Good, good and bad. What are your thoughts on like what makes a good influencer?
That's a good question.
Because I know you're watching, a lot, and you're a real fitness pro.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming to your classes. So I'm curious, from a different perspective, like what you see.
Okay. Let me get some water. Hold on.
Sure.
It's kind of different on my end. So I'm a fitness professional, but I'm also a professional bikini competitor. So
Yeah.
like a lot of my peers are on social media, and especially the bikini competitors. So I don't follow most competitors unless I personally know them and like them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, huh, I
Like,
don't,
do you
it's
think
like I'm
that?
not a consumer. So occasionally I'll follow a fitness influencer as more like research to see what they're doing and to see what my customers or what the world is being exposed to. So it's
Oh, hmm.
sometimes I'll follow someone like Kaisa Kaisa because she
Hmm.
has really innovative like workout combinations and routines. Um, I follow you because you're fun and relatable, and I feel like I know you. And but like if I'm on Instagram, I don't really follow fitness people unless I'm friends with them.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to me to hear what, people that are in my industry feel about, people that are promoting the industry. Because, you know, there is a little bit of like a power struggle
Yeah,
between
totally.
fitness pros and fitness influencers. And that's something that I've like really wanted to stay away from because like I'm not selling a workout.
Hmm.
That's not what I do. I'm selling um, a lifestyle. I'm selling like, you can be fashionable, you can be fit, and here are like some amazing things to wear to your workouts. And here are like my favorite workouts to go to. So I'm essentially promoting people like yourself constantly, and you have to definitely like make sure people like understand that's what you're doing. Otherwise, like fitness trainers like hate you,
Hmm. Yeah,
because they think you're like taking their stealing their thunder.
that is true. Yeah, because there are a lot of people who are Instagram famous or there's a lot of phony fitness out there. Like, let's say someone has butt implants and then they market a squat program, things like that. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard to respect a lot of Instagram famous fitness um, charlatans. I have to call them because they're not fitness
Yeah.
professionals, but
Yeah.
the ones who are actually professionals, yes, I respect. And then considering like you're a fitness influencer, but you're not selling workouts, I
Hmm.
respect you because you're staying in your lane instead of,
Yeah.
so
Hmm. And I think that's important because I would never want to come off as anything like I would never want to like trick people. A lot of times people are like, "Oh, can you do a workout for us here?" And I'm like, "I can definitely show my favorite workout moves, but I'm not certified to teach."
mhm.
So I always tell people that, that's important for me. But yeah, no, I was curious what, someone like yourself might think of the influencer world. And I need to learn how to spot butt implants. I have no like I know that Nicki Minaj has them and I've kind of like seen them in some of her pictures, but I'm so curious about what influencers have butt implants.
Yeah, but that's also tricky because there's fat transfer.
Uh,
So
that's what
those,
Kim is. Yeah.
yeah, so those it can look more natural. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, there's a lot of people selling programs just based on their natural physical structure, but also the physical structure that they purchased. So, I mean, it's whatever. Um, yeah, it's whatever.
Interesting. Interesting.
But I don't personally have too much of a problem with it. I just don't pay attention to it. And when I do actually look at it, I look at their marketing. So it's more like research as opposed to following them for content, following them to learn something.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know because I think it helps me also understand the people that are watching me.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think you have a lot of fitness professionals who do watch you.
Yes, I do. I definitely do. I find that a lot of my followers are 30 to 50 plus moms,
Hmm.
though. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because a lot of my following is also in Middle America.
Hmm.
And that's really what makes me want to like stay true to my Midwest roots. Because I think, I think there are a lot of people that know that, I moved here to New York and that, where I come from and that kind of thing. So, and that's important to them.
Hmm. Yeah, because you're from Kansas, wait, or Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri, half
Okay.
right. There's a Kansas City, Missouri. So,
Yeah, because that's where my mom is from. That's where she's living right now. So,
oh, really?
yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
I want to talk about your business again, though. Um,
Okay.
so, what are some common misconceptions people have about you and your business, and what's the reality of it?
Ooh, common misconceptions. Okay, well, I think the first one is that people only see me as a blogger, and that always bugs me because I'm like, well, blogging is a business, so I am a businesswoman. I'm an entrepreneur. Um, People think that I'm just blogging is actually like, 1/10 of what I do, and it's the thing that I like. I actually is like I don't like doing, out of all the things that I do. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's very time consuming. And while I love writing, like it can often be tough to like sit down and like aggregate all my images and then, color correct and all of that and like write and then edit and that kind of thing. It takes a long time. So because of that, like I always dread it, but I hate when people are like, oh, you're a blogger. Cause I'm like, I'm an editor. I'm a filmer. I'm a digital host. I really like of all the things I see myself as a digital host because, I'm constantly putting digital content out there,
Hmm.
and then I do a lot of like on air projects. So, I hate when people ball it up into blogger because yes, I started off as a blogger, but like I said, it's 1/10 of what I do. And I kind of feel like there's this like weird, like, I feel like a weird connotation that like bloggers are cop outs, that they just like sit at home and, promote products that, brands pay them to promote and aren't genuine to, they don't even have a genuine relationship with that product. And that super annoys me because I really only sit down and write about things that move me. Otherwise, like with how much I often dread blogging, like why would I even bother? And it your butt starts to hurt. Like seriously, like since I've been home, all I've been doing the last few days has been blogging because, I with my eye, like I've been kind of limited. So I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't really hurt me to stare at the screen. So I've been catching up on a lot of my blogging and your butt hurts after like 2 hours of sitting down, with your legs crossed, like little blood circulation. I'm like, blogging sucks.
Yeah.
So for someone to say, that it's, kind of a cop out or it's just, what someone that really don't want to go out and get a job does, like that really boils my blood because it's the same as writing a book. It's the same, kind of tenacity and it's hard to sit down at a computer for that long and, bust out content. It really can be. And then you have to promote it. So, that's a big side of blogging that a lot of people don't know about is that you have to like go out and, paste and copy and paste your link on different channels and then write short copy to get people intrigued enough to click on your links and that kind of thing. Like, wow, if only you knew how long that can take.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's the main thing that really kind of bugs me. And it's definitely an art. And I'm going to be totally honest and say that I'm not even as good at it as the other bloggers out there that have, they have really perfected the art. And a lot of them are mommy bloggers or family bloggers. Like they're really effective in terms of blogging. And it blows my mind, like how much content they create on a weekly basis, because I'm definitely not creating as much content as these like career bloggers. But yeah, it's not easy, and I feel like the title deserves a lot more respect.
Mm. For marketing, like your blog and everything that you do, did you learn from someone or a program, or did you just learn it as you did it?
Well, I was writing when I was working in the advertising industry. I was a copywriter and art director in advertising. So I already knew how to write good copy in short form. And long form is really just about having voice, which is something that you learn about in advertising, adopting the voice of a brand. So when it came time for me to create my own voice, I was very practiced in the sense that I had been, adopting the voices of all these different brands, like cereal brands, beauty brands. I worked on a lot of brands under the Procter and Gamble
Hmm.
umbrella, and yeah, I was just when it came to creating my own voice, I was like, okay, I know how to do this, and I know myself, so here goes. And ever since, it's kind of been pretty easy you know, to stay with that voice. But I realize that for people out there that maybe don't have the writing experience that I did, it can be a little more challenging. And I would say take a writing course, or if you're going to just dive straight into it, the best thing to do is to do voice record. And like, let's say you want to talk about hair extensions, right? Talk through record yourself talking about it, how you would to your best friend or, to your mom or just anyone that had questions about hair extensions, if that's what you're, informed on and know a lot about. Talk about it just freely because that is the voice that you want to inject into blogging is just that fluidity, that very casual style of just, chatting away on a topic that you're well versed on.
Mm. That's a good tip.
Yeah.
When you mentioned being in advertising, so was there any overlap between working as an employee and then doing your own thing? And what was the turning point for just going off on your own thing?
There was no overlap. The day that I left McCann, um, or not McCann, I'm sorry. The day that I left McGarry Bowen, which was a job where I was permalance at as an art director copywriter, was the day that I knew I had to figure something new out. I loved my job there and I was making good money, but on my last day, because permalance is like they bring a freelancer on for like 6 months type thing.
Hmm.
On my last day, like I asked for a full-time job, and they were like, we don't really need you, so we're sorry, but this is really going to be your last day. Thank you so much for all the hard work you did. And I walked out, and I was like, damn, like really, like I put in like 6 or 7 months of like heart and soul and passion, blood, sweat, and tears, that kind of thing. And they're just like, bye. So that was the day that I was like, I need to build something for myself because I'm never going to like let go of myself. Like I'm never going to fire myself. And I was getting sick and tired of being let go in the advertising industry because I was only needed for a short period of time or because the advertising lost their client. And so they had to let go of the whole team. Like that happened to me 2 or 3 times, and it was just heartbreaking because you knew that you were good, and you knew that the agency loved you, but they just didn't have space for you anymore. And that's like a hard hit to take, So I really created MizzFit.com originally like, yes, I wanted to like empower women and all of that, but I also needed to like empower myself and create a space for myself where I knew I could commit to this and I knew no one was going to like, tell me, thank you for your time, but sorry, today's your last day. Like I was like, I want to be my own boss.
Hmm.
And that wow, like, I mean, if it shows anything about me being a committed person, like 9 years later, like here I am still doing this. So, um, I think that, if there are other women out there listening to this podcast that, or men, that kind of felt disposable in their careers, I challenge you, create your own thing, because it can be mentally rehabilitating, to nurture yourself that way. And I know I needed it at that time in my life. So yeah, to answer your question very indirectly, I didn't have any overlap. I started the day that job that I mentioned ended. I started creating MizzFit.com and probably officially blogging maybe 2 months after that.
Hmm. Did you have any fears, or was it just you had to do it?
I think when you're at the beginning of creating something, there's no fear to have because you don't know what you're, you know, stepping into. So no, I had no fear. I just started trademarking, and creating the foundation. Looking back, I'm like, wow, like I was the most fearless then. Like now I second guess myself on a lot of things because I have a lot to lose.
Mm.
But back then I didn't have anything to lose. I was just like, I'm done with advertising. Like I want to create, something new for myself. So yeah, there was nothing to lose. So I think in a way that's like the best time of being an entrepreneur is at the very beginning.
All right. I think I don't think I have any other questions. Or I have a ton of questions, but I don't want to keep you on the phone for like another hour.
Okay.
But it's all related to there's so many questions.
Well, we can do one more if you want.
Okay. Let me think about this for 1 second. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, before we go, what is something that you're most proud of that you've accomplished with MizzFit so far?
What I'm most proud of, as far as building MizzFit, is that I've been able to share important messages through my platform. Um, Earlier this year, I linked up with Women's Day, the Red Dress Awards thing that they do every year, to promote women's heart health. And I got to be a part of that whole movement and share a product line that is really good for, activating, your blood and oxygenating your blood and all of that. And that was just really cool because that kind of, it's more medical. It's more like life longevity based. And that's life changing stuff. You needed to teach women how to live longer and take better care of their bodies. Like that's that gives me meaning. That's rewarding in my life and business. So to do things like that, I think that's what makes me super proud. And then the other side of that is, I've gotten a lot more into skincare and anti-aging
Mm-hmm.
in the coverage that I'm doing. And while it doesn't help you necessarily live longer, it does mentally and emotionally empower women. I mean, I know it from my own experience, getting, Botox or, other treatments, in that vein have made me feel so good about myself, like made me feel beautiful, the best version of me. I mean, I'm not going to say younger because I don't think that those kind of things make me feel 10 years younger because I'll always feel my age inside, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I think they just like make women feel great about themselves. And so that is an important side of what I do too. Because I think transformation is internal and external, as I'm sure you do and
Mm-hmm.
every other fitness, professional does. But sometimes a lot of people don't like to share those things. You know, like they don't want to share those treatments or procedures that they're having done because they're embarrassed or they feel like it's going to like ruin their brand. But I'm proud of, you know, the fact that I've allowed myself to be vulnerable and open and share those things with women because it's allowed me to grow closer to my followers, but also allowed me to be very candid with my followers about things that they can be doing to look as good as they feel inside. So I'm actually very proud of that. It took time for me to get to that point. But I think that was for me like it was a growing thing that I had to do, growing up thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we're all done.
Okay, great. Well, it was so much fun.
I know, it was
Thank
awesome.
you. And I'd love to like, you know, find out more about all the other podcasts you do. So please like tag me whenever you're posting one.
Yeah, I will.